YouTube, my name is Elizabeth. Welcome or welcome back to my channel, Bouquets and Books. This video is my pile of possibilities for the wonderful, I'm biased, but wonderful event coming up in April, which is People April. Now I'm biased because, well, I'm one of the hosts. And the other host is Roz from Scallydandling About the Books. Now, Roz very sadly just broke her arm, and at about the same time last year she broke her wrist. So hopefully there's no curse in hosting People April, because last year I got COVID during the month. So really I hope that there's no curse for that. But I'm sure that there's no curse for participating in it. So I invite you to participate in this wonderful event. What is People April? It is a month-long event where we invite you to read non-fiction about the lives of people. So it can be biographies, autobiographies, and memoirs. It can be correspondence, it can be diaries, journals, anything that is about the life of a person. So any non-fiction about the life of a person. And that is simply the theme of the readathon, which is rather simple because I think we all have a memoir or biography somewhere on our shelves, or somewhere in our mind that we want to read this at some point. Well, that point, it's now. It's in April. Just pick that up. So without further ado, here are the books that I intend perhaps maybe to read. One of them I will read. It is our group read. It is I Am by Maggie O'Farrell. I forgot to say, we have a Discord. So regardless of whether you want to read the group or the group read or not, or just want to chit chat about biographies and memoirs, join the Discord. There's a link in the description box below. I haven't checked it recently, but I assume it's going to pick up much more in April. I'm just going to check it right after filming this video. I'm going to check what's going on the Discord. I didn't do that. Sorry. I'm going to be a good host. I promise I'm going to be a good host in April. So this is our group read. It is I Am by Maggie O'Farrell. It's a memoir of all the times that she came close to death. And apparently she's either very lucky or very, very unlucky, because it happened very often. So I don't know if she's lucky for not having died or unlucky for having been close to death that often. But I guess we'll see. We'll read the book together and we will discover that. So that's for sure something I'm going to read in April. Now the rest, I say pile of possibilities because I have literally two piles in front of me, because just one would be too big. I just like to dip in it, and I don't like to have a fixed not schedule, but a fixed list of books that I need to read. I like just to take whatever my fancy, whatever. I know there's an expression with that. Anyway, I just want to follow my mood and just read whatever I want to read at the time. Now, to help your mood find a book, or perhaps to inspire you to pick some biographies or memoirs, we have a couple of prompts for you just to inspire you. So the first prompt is: biography should be written by an enemy. No, sorry, I'm not reading this correctly. Biography should be written by an acute enemy, and it is attributed to Arthur Balfour. Now, what can I read that is based on that prompt? Well, biography, the word is in there. The first thing that comes to my mind when I think of biography, I think of big fat books about people who have died a number of years ago, and that generally were heads of state. So either dictators or kings and queens. And for that, I borrowed from the library Marie Antoinette by Stefan Zweig. There's a question of whether this is really nonfiction or if this is, some call it a nonfiction novel. In my library, it's in the section 921, which is biography. It's considered nonfiction. So for this book, Zweig did not go into the archives, and he did not try to figure out things about Marie Antoinette that nobody else knows. He did not do the work of a historian. In a way, he did the work of a writer. He examined the life of Marie Antoinette from mainly secondary sources and tried to paint her character, her personality. So I think this is going to be very interesting. Though, as I said, it's just a possibility among many others. The person to whom this quotation is attributed to is Arthur Balfour, who was formerly a Prime Minister of Great Britain, of England, and he is most famous probably for a declaration that he made. It was in I forgot the date. I think it was in the 1920s, 1926, I want to say. That he made a declaration that according to His Majesty's government, yes, it was His Majesty, not Her Majesty, His Majesty's government, that His Majesty's government was in the favor of creating that Palestine should be a state that will become a home for the Jewish people. Now, of course, I'm paraphrasing, I don't have the exact words, but this declaration played a big role in the creation of Israel. It became some sort of international approval of the creation of a state for the Jewish people. And about that theme, I have a correspondence, a book of correspondence, which has nothing to do with Israel, but it has a bit to do with anti-Semitism. So this is the correspondence of Zola. So it's not all of his letters, it's some of them, it's chosen text. Yeah, they chose some of them. And at the end, there's an entire section that is just about his correspondence relating to the Dreyfus affair. So that was a famous case of anti-Semitism in France. So there was this man named Alfred Dreyfus. He was an officer in the army, and he was accused of treason, of having sold secrets to the German government. At the time, when he was first condemned, nobody really doubted his guilt. It's just afterwards that some documents sort of came to light that proved beyond any shadow of a doubt that he was innocent. And it was always tried in front of military court. And what Zola did is that he wrote his famous piece, J'accuse. So I accuse, or rather I charge this person with doing this, that, or I charge this person of having done that. And he knew that by doing that, he would be brought in front of civilian courts for the laws against defamation and libel. And he basically used himself as a target to use his fame and to bring the case of Dreyfus in front of civilian courts. It kind of backfired because it did not work the way he wanted to. Anyway, it's complicated, but he ended up being condemned for defamation, and instead of going to jail because he was sort of told that he would be condemned, he decided to flee, so he fled to England, if I remember correctly. And anyway, so there's correspondence about that particular time period, that particular atmosphere, and that I think the link with the Declaration of Arthur Balfour is that the climate of anti-Semitism in Europe was so strong that it led to this declaration where that said that the Jewish people should have a state of their own. So that's the link with the with the quotation. So you don't need a very strong link between the quotation and the book. You just use it for inspiration. So I'm using the second quotation much more than the first one. The second one is, I never travel without my diary. One should always have something to read on the train. And this is by Oscar Wilde. Now, there's the word travel in there, and more than that, there's travel in diary. Woohoo! This is a travel diary. I've presented this book more than once. I want to reread it. I read it just once, but it made really a strong impression on me, and I really want to reread it. So the title in English is Journey with No Return, or Journey Without Return? I never know. Anyway, so that's the author's, Raymond Moffret. So this young man, in 1950, he was 23 years old, and he decided to cross on foot from Guyana to Brazil. And of course he died. He did not make it. He did not make it very far. He did not even make it beyond civilization, so to speak. His diaries were found by some indigenous people who brought it back to a mission, and that is how we know that he never made it any farther than that particular point, that this particular place where he camped. And it's a tragic story, but at the same time, it's a bit self-inflicted. There's a bit of a Darwin Award worthy in there. But anyway, I want to reread it just because I wonder if, now knowing how it ends and the particular details of the entire thing, if it's going to make as strong an impression on me as the first time. So travel and diary. And I'm in the mood for travel diaries, for travel tales. I bought a couple of them. I showed you last week in my mini book haul. So there's Among Flowers by Jamaica Kincaid. The author goes to Nepal, and this is her memoir of her travels in Nepal. Here we have Turn Right at Machu Picchu by Mark Adams. This is kind of a memoir and also a bit of a history in the sense that Mark Adams decides to retrace the step of Hiram Bingham, who discovered Machu Picchu, and he tells his story. So there's half of the book is memoir, so it's really the tale of Mark Adams, and the other half is more it's a bit history, a bit biography. It's about Hiram Bingham, and I say half, it's not like first half and second half. If I remember correctly, it's one chapter which is a memoir, the other chapter which is history, and it just alternates like this. If I remember correctly, I read this a dozen years ago, so I could be wrong. But it was fun. Again, it's something that I've read, but I don't remember much of it. And then again, in a travel, I have a Cook, The Extraordinary Voyages of Captain James Cook by Nicholas Thomas. So this is a biography of Captain James Cook. So even though it focuses on the voyages, which I think is the most interesting aspect of Cook's life, it's a biography, so it totally fits our readathon. Next, what do I have? Okay, I'm sort of struggling with my little piles here. The quote is attributed to Oscar Wilde. So Oscar Wilde, he's an artist, he's a writer. So, what do I have here? A memoir by a writer. So this is Permanent Astonishment by Thomson Highway. Thomson Highway is a Canadian Indigenous author. He writes mainly plays, I think, though I've read an essay by him that I really liked. I started, there's a bookmark in it, because I started it last April, and for some reason I did not finish it. It was good. It was, I'm at page 75, though I'm going to start over again because it's been too long. But these first 75 pages, it's about his early childhood in a nomadic family, probably one of the last ones, one of the last families to live the traditional Indigenous lifestyle of living on a sleigh and just carrying everything, and the family carrying everything they have with them from a summer camp to a winter camp, and just traveling to find food and resources to live. And he talks about that period with nostalgia, I guess, but genuine affection, I think. He could see the value of this particular lifestyle, but I think he could see also the difficulties of it, and I don't think he would want to go back to that lifestyle. I think he lives nearby. He lives in the region of Ottawa, so yeah, he's far from the northern Saskatchewan, but yeah, I want to read that. And then another biography of an artist, though this time not a writer, Frida Kahlo by Rauda Jamis. I'm saying I don't know how to pronounce it. I don't think it's translated. I think it's been originally written in French, though. So written in 1985, and there's no mention of a translator, so it would be Rauda Jamis. Okay, that's the thing. The subtitle, Auto Portrait of a Woman. Okay, this is an auto portrait, I agree, but the book, I don't think it is. It's a biography, so it's a portrait. It's not an auto portrait. Anyway, biography of an artist. Again, on the theme of writers, I have here The Wives by Alexandra Popov, and it is the women behind Russia's literary giants. So this is about the wives of Dostoevsky, Tolstoy, Nabokov, and I think there are two others. I keep saying there should be a table of contents somewhere to tell me who they were. Apparently there isn't. Is it at the end? Come on, table of content. There's no table of content. That is a bit frustrating. So, okay, it's on the flap. It says Sofia Tolstoy, Vera Nabokov, Elena Bulgakov, Nadezhda Mandelstam, Anna Dostoevsky. Well, that should be Dostoevskaya, and same thing should be Tolstoya. Anyway, she doesn't feminize the name. And Natalia Solzhenitsyn. And of all these authors, there's only Mandelstam that I haven't read. I've read not all the works, but I've read some books by all the others. I've read some Bulgakov, some Nabokov, some Tolstoy, a lot of Dostoevsky, some Solzhenitsyn. So I'm going to know a little bit what she's talking about, at least the men that she's talking about. So this is going to be about the wives. I think most of them most of them acted like typists. They were sort of like free secretaries. And yes, and particularly the wife of Tolstoy, she hand wrote or hand copied War and Peace 7 times, I think. So yeah, she's worthy of being mentioned in the book. She's worthy of being written about. So that's it for the books that fit the prompts. I suppose all the others can fit the prompts too, because we have the word biography in the first quotation, and the second quotation refers to someone writing about themselves. So any memoir would fit the bill. So I guess they fit both prompts. The next ones that I have, they're all memoirs. So I have this one, Comme, ciel, nous. This one is not translated in English. I've heard about this book from the channel The Ritual of Reading. I'm going to link to Alexandra's video in the description box. It's a wonderful atmospheric videos. That's what she does. If you like a cozy vibe, if you like videos based on books, but with also recipes and visits to cultural events and highly polished, very, very polished videos, you're going to love Alexandra's channel. And she is so undersubscribed. I don't understand why she has under 500 subscribers. Anyway, go check her out. It's worth it. Maybe if you don't like, she's the opposite of me. If you enjoy just people talking in front of the camera, well, I guess her videos are not for you. But if you enjoy well-made videos, because I don't think my videos are well-made, if you enjoy well-made videos, just go check her out. So this is about a writer who was invited to spend a night in the Museum of the Louvre, and this is her memoir of that night. So it's a memoir, but also, I guess, an essay and thoughts. So this should be fun. This I also heard about from another booktuber, this time Nicole from good grief, Nicole. She hosted Shepard. Small things? No, that's not it. I'm just going to write. Anyway, there's a link in the description box below. In a video, a recent video, she talked about her collection of penguin classics, and among them there was this book, The Shepherd's Life by James Rebanks. And I read a book by James Rebanks a couple of years ago, which was Pastoral Song, a memoir about farming in England and how farming had changed from his grandfather's time to his time, and how modernization and modern agricultural technique are in a way very destructive. They are very destructive, and it's not sustainable. Anyway, so this is a memoir that of an earlier memoir about his life as a shepherd. Yeah, in the Lake District, he decides to become a shepherd. So I'm very curious to read this. I really loved Pastoral Song, so I assume that I'm just going to love as much this one. And then on a theme a bit more depressing, I have translated from Chinese, Wuhan, Closed City by Fang Fang. I think the title says it all. It is about the beginning of the COVID epidemic and how Wuhan became a closed city in 2020. And this is a diary that the author kept throughout this period of confinement, but serious confinement. From my experience in Canada, we never had such severe confinement as they had in Wuhan. We were allowed to go out for a walk, and we were never really confined to within a certain distance of our homes. In this case, they had to stay home. So, and the police in China is a bit more severe, just a bit more severe than police in Canada. Not just a bit, a lot. So anyway, this promises to be sobering reading, serious reading, yes, something, it's not necessarily agreeable reading, but probably worthy reading. And the last book in my pile of possibilities is the opposite of the one I just presented. It looks like something completely fun. This is The Book of Eating by Adam Platt, and this is a memoir of being a food critic. I think it's a memoir of him growing up. He was the son of diplomats, so they traveled a lot, and he had to eat all kinds of foods when he was a child, and that enabled him to become a food critic in adulthood. And this is his memoir. I'm not a foodie. I don't care for fine food, really. I don't cook much, but in the last few years, anytime I read a food memoir, I highly enjoyed it. So I would like to add that to my menu, at least to a possibility of a sampling. Anyway, it's a possibility. So that's it. These are all the books I perhaps maybe could read in the coming month of April. Of course, it always happens with pile of possibilities. I present them and I end up reading like 1 or 2 books from this pile and reading just other stuff from elsewhere, because I have many other biographies and memoirs on my shelves. I have access to tons of them at the library. I have a subscription to the app formerly known as Scribd, which is now Everend. And there are tons of memoirs and biographies in there too, so I may turn to that because when I go to a cafe to read something, I don't always lug a big book with me. Sometimes I just go for something electronic, so I may turn towards something that is on that app service instead. So I don't know what I'm going to read. The one thing that is sure is I'm going to read the group read. Once again, link in the description box to the Discord. So the group read is I am. So that one I'm going to read. For the rest, I don't know. You'll have to stay tuned. So that is it for me. Thank you everyone for listening. I hope you're going to join us for People April. If you intend to join, let me know in the comments what you think you're going to read. And I will see you in the next video. À la prochaine.